Hi guys, today I thought I could make a video on my recent experience questing through the world of Celestia. So just because obviously I'm making a new legendary character. This is my life magus. Um, my first character I ever got to Warlord back in the day. And basically I'm bringing him to legendary to take over for my balance. Gonna try an aggressive playstyle on a life. And since I recently quested through Celestia, and in my opinion, I feel like Celestia is pretty widely regarded as not one of the best worlds to quest through slash one of the worst stories. So I want to make a quick, like a fast, PvE, PvP combination video. Obviously, I know all of you guys have quested through Celestia at least once, even if it was years ago. So how I want to go about this is basically um, from my short-term memory, I guess, run through the different areas and what I feel about them like real fast. So I believe, yeah, when you start, you go to survey camp, right? And then I think this area is sort of okay. Like you're setting stuff up. Obviously, you get introduced to, like the concept of the Celestians, like the ancient people, and you fix like broken pipes, etc. And then once you're finished with this area, you go to the grotto, and then eventually, I think the last dungeon, I believe, is the outer dome. So the grotto is just like an underwater level in a way, and then that basically completes like the first, basically you could argue two, maybe even three areas, depending how you consider it. And then I'm not sure if I remember the exact order, but I believe District of the Stars is next, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys know this place well. I have the Archivist, I guess over here, right there, and then have the Chantry. You have yeah, like the shark huts and everything like that. So this is decent, I mean, I feel like District of the Stars actually is kind of one of the worst areas in my opinion. Sorry, because it has these weird, like basically fetch quests where you have to go back and forth for no reason between like different tomes. Like you're just pressing X and the lines are not interesting. It's like a one line about quote unquote Celestian lore, but it's really not saying anything. And then once you're done with this, obviously you go in the Stellarium. Um, our first dungeon in first real dungeon in Celestia. And there's also like I believe the first place where you can train infallible. So there's like those star school trainers on the inside. So now let's move on. After this, I believe we go to the floating land, which I know someone who really doesn't like the floating land, but in my opinion, and I've seen another YouTuber who shares this opinion, um, floating land is the best part of Celestia, and I agree with that. Like from a design point of view as well, I think this is basically this is what kind of suggests where Celestia would be on a map, which in my terms basically this is supposed to be like Hawaii or Hawaiian, right? From the vegetation, obviously the decor, etc. This is cool. You get to meet a new people, kind of in a way more fun. The I guess the platypus population that lives on the other side of the island. There's cool statues. There's very unique mobs here. There's treants. Yeah, these treants over here that look like tangleroot. They basically look like, they do Molly or some. So that's pretty nice. So anyway, yeah, you do this area, then you help out the water moles, and then I think you help rebuild a submarine. It's like there's like a crashed airship with the Marleybonians at the end. And yeah, so let's think about this. Is it okay? It's possible that after we do the floating land, it's either I believe it may be Storm Riven. So then you go over to Storm Riven, which obviously, as the name implies, again, water, piping, etc. I think one big downside, and like Celestia Base Camp is quite ugly itself, is that like there's a lot of machinery, but this isn't like aesthetically pleasing whatsoever. Like I feel like Marleybone is about as far as I want to get in terms of actual machinery in a wizard game, and this is just like for the most part ugly, and I feel like this actual celestial aspects are pretty kind of surface level and glossed over. Like there's only like two or three different kinds of Celestian mobs. I find it's very unfortunate. So anyway, there's this whole area which there's like I think there's a lot of walking here. It's like kind of weird the back and forth. And then you go to Stormervin Hall, which I forget if it's an actual. I believe it's like it's a small area, and I believe it's another underwater level. And then I think there's like a dungeon at the end. This might be where you face that sort of like the OG Storm Triton or Storm Titan mob. He's like a baby Storm Titan, I guess. So yeah, that's this area. Then after Stormervin, I know there's a science center, but I'm guessing you do the yeah you do the Lunarium first, right? So I believe what this is this one, chancel or the portico. Yeah, so you do the portico. I mean, I don't know. I don't need to get in here. You guys kind of know what it looks like, right? It's like a weird, um, there's different mobs, different Celestian mobs. So it's just another shortish dungeon. You do the portico. After that, you go to the science center, right? And this is like I was talking about earlier, this is probably, I mean, I don't know how you feel about the actual like story or whatever, but this is so bland. I mean, nothing goes on here. I don't even remember if there's like a boss. Like, I feel like this area might have no bosses whatsoever. Or, yeah, I guess, okay, Maglump, whoever that is, at the very end, who's just another one of those Aquabots, like Watermaton, whatever they are. So yeah, you guys know, like everyone knows about this, the meme basically. You know, there's those mobs that just like they spawn together and are like impossible to distinguish and fight. And then for some reason they thought it was a good idea to you basically have to fight them like 3 times just doing the main quest line, which is absolutely ridiculous. I feel like this area was kind of not thrown together, but practically like you can tell it's weird. Like Celestia, especially because it was the newest world after Dragonspire, after like the original Arc 1. I find it's like lazy. Like it's very surface level. I don't know if just because like Pluto being an exoplanet was like hot at the time type of thing. So they're just like yeah space vibes, and they made it like incredibly surface level. Imagine if imagine if Celestia had anything to do with like the actual solar system, or there's actual traveling involved, or anything actually astral or celestial. Dude, that shit would be hot right now, bro, with astrology. Feel me? So then I think after that, unless I'm forgetting something, which hopefully I'm not, you basically try to go into the solarium, but you can't yet. And then, your boy Edith Benchley over there sends you over to do her bidding in the Crustacean Empire, where basically you meet, I mean, I guess all the different legions. I mean, this is very, very Roman, obviously. There's like legionnaires, there's the Senate. This area is super long, bro. This is like the and I'm trying to remember. There's another area in a previous world. Oh, Ravenscar. This is like the Ravenscar of Celestia. Super long, so many quests. Pretty awful to navigate through. The teleporters. They need more teleporters. And need to move them. They're very weird, dude. They're extremely weird. The story's pretty disjointed. You basically just go from one NPC at a corner to a map. It gives you a few quests to the next one. The end I feel like is quite lackluster. Like Queen Calypso is really cool, but then it's just like you defeat her and then you go see her treasure is just like a random tiny chest floating in an area with like no mobs, like as if like it's just they basically like the sharks are supposed to be like powerful and prideful, sure, but doesn't mean they're necessarily super stupid. Because it's funny, right? The crabs are super prideful, and then the sharks are as well, and it's just basically comes off as dumb. And then there's like the undead pirates, which first of all Loki come out of nowhere, and second of all are like super dumb. But I just feel like the lore is really wasted, and they made like the tribal battle in Celestia incredibly goofy, in my opinion. So yeah, that's the Crustacean Empire. Do, 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 do. And then finally, I believe, yeah, you talk to Edith Benchley. You can finally go to the Solarium, where there's a couple fights, and then there's the shark bosses. Optio, those 3 guys. It's like glitched. At least there's a little bit of a bug, but you only have to defeat 2 of the 3 bosses, even though the quest tells you to defeat all 3. When you defeat the first one, it counts as 2. I'm guessing all of them do that, to be honest, unless it's just supposed to be some sort of weird, kind of like Easter egg thing, or like a little make it breezier, I guess. So once you finish that, you go to the Trial of the Spheres, which has like both weird and incredibly easy like puzzles at the same time, especially the one where it's like you have to go in like clockwise order, I think. which is like sort of not intuitive. Like I feel like it's not. I remember like I know how to do it, but I didn't. It wasn't like very obvious for me the first time, I believe, or like when I redid it recently a few characters ago. Quick Easter egg, guys, by the way, in case you didn't know, this Ogden Peak, yeah, I think he gives quests at like level 52, 54, and 56, something along those lines. And they each give a training point. So if you're down bad on points or you want to basically optimize your legend or grand character, definitely talk to this man and do your crafting to craft lore master spells. So yeah, like I was saying, Trial of the Spheres, final battle. Um, yeah, there's a couple different bosses. For some reason, they all have like a weird cheat of summoning a shield that you have to take away in different ways, or just like, I guess, pierce through it if you have a bunch of high levels. And the final boss of Celestia, in my opinion, is very underwhelming. Mithraia, because the Trial of the Spheres is like, it's cool by itself, but it comes out of nowhere because the entire world of Celestia, aside from early on in the District of the Stars, which is actually super surface level information, basically completely like ignores the Celestians to a point, and the Crustacean Empire has nothing to do with Celestians, and it's the longest and like final area, so it kind of makes no sense. It's almost like the Crustacean, literally, Edith eventually tells you, like when you beat the Crustacean Empire, you quote unquote defeat like the crustaceans, like as if like they're the main enemy, right? And then like they're the equivalent of Moriarty and Marleybone, you know what I mean? Like they're the equivalent of defeating all the evil cats. And then she basically tells you, oh, you're low-key powerful enough to probably try to do this like ancient Celestian dungeon that basically is like for the chosen ones of old. And then you go, it's very random. You basically don't know the lore. The Celestians are just like a kind of weird condescending, or they basically almost say nothing. And Mithraia isn't even like, I wouldn't even say she's like the third hardest boss in her whole dungeon, which is like ridiculous. All she does is a smoke screen versus 90% towers. Obviously, towers are more annoying. So yeah, you defeat her, and then Morganth. You get a glimpse of Morganth, which I find is ridiculous. And Malister is such a better villain because you think that Morganth is going to be cool. Like when you get to Avalon, you find out more of her backstory in Ghost Avalon, but it turns out she's really just like a bad seed. Like she's just like a literally like shit kid syndrome. Um, that's for another video, obviously. But like Merle Ambrose, I believe like the Fire School, is it Dahlia or Falmea, is from Avalon as well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then Morganth. And I find like it's cool but slightly underdeveloped, and I feel like they didn't really give Morganth a like a positive understory. It's like obviously you guys know the Avengers now with Thanos and how popular like ambivalent villains are or anti-heroes. And Morganth is none of that. She's really just evil for the sake of being evil, and it's honestly like, especially in hindsight, like especially if she wasn't like a weird, like quote unquote hot goth girl, she's so empty as a character, and it's so dumb, and it just like it gets amplified as the world's, because as she loses her mystique, she just becomes like kind of dumber or more overtly evil for no reason. With the end of the world in Azteca, summoning Malister, which I think they really didn't need to do that. I think that just shows how weak and unconvincing Morganth is as a villain. They have to bring back Malister, who was already completely taken care of. And also slightly, it ruins his character because they brought him back in Darkmoor too. And he kind of has a good ending in Dragonspire. He speaks to his brother Cyrus, and he's supposed to, you know, just make amends with his wife and accept and walk into the afterlife. So they kind of cheesed him. I mean, I would argue Wizard story wise is better. Arc 3 is like fun and everything, but story wise should have just finished at Arc 1. Everything after that is kind of a jumbled mess, even though places like Zafaria are really cool, obviously, for the full sub-Saharan African theme. So I don't know what else to say, guys. I know it's like a different video, but I thought it could be fun. I don't think I fucked up too bad in terms of the order of the places, and I just did this. I want it to be fresh on my mind. So yeah, it's very important. You'll have to quest Celestia if you want to make a proper legendary character, especially if you want to do the crafting quest, the craft lore spells, or whatever it may be, or on an ice, especially, the level 66 gear from Koyate Ghostmane up in Zafaria. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think, and hope the audio is all right, and please like and subscribe. All right, take care, guys.